Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing A Haunting in Venice, which is streaming on Hulu beginning October 31st, 2023. We are excited to do this review Yes. All right, but before we get to it, let me introduce my crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. The blizzard we were supposed to have never came.
Never came. The blizzard that never came.
You dodged the bullet this time.
Yes. Also joining this week is an award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
To quote a character in this film, Doc, you have all the charm of chewing tinfoil.
Yes. You are my
There's a lot of great lines in this.
And I like your ood suck shirt. No, it's just the way your shirt cuts it off.
I really was blown away by that one. All right, rounding out the crew is the one and only Dave Dreher. How you doing, Dave?
Christopher stole my thunder. I was going to make fun of your shirt. He's seen it too. Damn it. That's what happens when you go last on the introductions.
Would suck. It's a Swedish film.
I'm sure we'll review it.
Yep. We just lost an entire country of fans. All right. We are here to review A Haunting in Venice. This is Kenneth Branagh returning to the horror genre, sort of, but in a very fun way. We are excited to review this. Like I said, it's streaming on Hulu. We're going to give you our initial impressions. Those initial impressions will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion and get into spoilers. It's a murder mystery. We're going to try not to spoil the ending, but we might. And then we'll get into the finale of this, and which is going to be our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like and subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click is free and easy to do, and will help us find more horror fans just like you.
Christopher's creeping me out. Make him go away.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at the card. We creeps everybody out. That's all right. All right, Haunting in Venice 2023 Hulu. You can't see the look on his face right now. It's beaming death eyes. All right, available streaming on Hulu beginning October 31st, 2023. Synopsis: in post-World War II Venice, Poirot, now retired and living in his own exile, reluctantly attends a seance. But when one of the guests is murdered, it's up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. Directed by Kenneth Branagh, written by Michael Green, based on the novel Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. The cast includes Kenneth Branagh, Tina Fey, Kelly Riley, Jude Hill, Jamie Dornan, Camille Cotton, Emma Laird, Michelle Yeoh, Ricardo Samarcio, one or the other, Kylie Allen, and Ali Khan. One stumble.
Not too bad.
Ding.
But it could have been either. Yeah, did you hear my thing ding?
Was that you dinging? I thought it was on my end. I didn't know.
I think it was just saying good job on pronunciation.
All right. Well, there's got to be one day a year that I do better than you. All right, let's get into our thoughts, our first impressions, starting off with the one and only Dave Dreher. Dave, let us have it.
Hey. So yeah, I kind of way back. We're going way back, guys, way back. Before I even knew I was a horror fan, I think. My grandfather up in his attic had a library of books, and I, at a very young age, read Agatha Christie and Ellery Queen and Sherlock Holmes. These are all things he had up there. So I've been a fan of these type of books and their kind of gothic, low-key horror vibe for a long time. But I haven't read any of them since I was like literally 10, 12 years old. But I really enjoyed visiting this film because it took me back to that time. I think they did a magnificent job, maybe even better than some of their more recent ones, like Murder on the Orient Express. They've made a couple different times now. Death on the Nile, they've made a couple different times. But I just like the feel of this, the humor in it. I don't recall Agatha Christie being a particularly humorous writer, but there was a lot of fun wordplay in the script that I enjoyed quite a bit. So this was a fun watch. I actually watched it last night on Halloween. It was actually a really fun Halloween night watch.
Yeah, because the story takes place on Halloween.
Yeah. So I dug this quite a bit. I'm kind of pissed I didn't go see it in the theaters now that I've seen it.
All right, Christopher G. Mohr, what was your first impression of A Haunting in Venice?
You know what? I'm kind of upset I didn't see this in the theater either, Dave. The cinematography is gorgeous in this film. The production design, there's a bedroom for the little girl that's just awe-inspiring, and there's some really amazing like extra wide shots that are pulled off in several scenes that I was just like, my eyes were salivating. There's some really cool just framing of shots. I mean, the mise-en-scene and stuff in certain parts is really, really cool. I mean, and to me, I found that more amazing than the whole mystery. But yeah, it's a really fun ride. There's, I think Tina Fey seems kind of, I don't know. She's the only thing that kind of pulls me out of a little bit, but
Just a little out of place.
But yeah, but it does have a sense of fun to it. It's and I think the supernatural aspect of it is kind of interesting to see, when we're going outside the bounds of the normal logic that a mystery, like a detective like him would deal with. But yeah, I think the location helps in Venice and stuff. And that house and stuff is amazing. I mean, yeah, everything, the production design, everything, the shot selection is really amazing. And I think that's the one thing I came away from thinking this. I mean, and I think Kenneth Branagh is always, I don't think people really give him enough credit for a lot of the cool stuff. One of my favorite films of his is Dead Again from like in the 90s that I
91,
really loved. That had some really cool visual stuff with that. And so I think I watched there was a segment on YouTube where they were comparing the old versions of like Agatha Christie stuff and the new versions, and they were kind of ripping on the new versions, saying it didn't have that kind of visual flair because the original ones would be long camera takes and be very stationary and be more about the people within the frame. And I'm kind of the opposite of that. I think you don't necessarily have to have a lot of the old versions are just shot like almost TV movies, old TV movies, not new TV movies. And I think the visual flair in this really helps with the storytelling. It's just as much a character as the characters in the film. So, but overall, I thought this was a really, really interesting story. And for me, the thing that really sold it is the cinematography.
Nice. Jeff Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of A Haunting in Venice?
I think I'm pretty much with Dave and Christopher. I too had a comment about I didn't really think it was Tina Fey's best work, and I didn't know if it was because of the. It seemed like there was so many close-ups of her, and I didn't think that worked well. But the rest of the acting was incredible. Great dialogue. Just so many memorable lines. And in terms of the cinematography, it seemed like every shot was a different camera angle. I mean, it was always, and there was some really great, this is a weird thing, but at the end, when they had I assume it was a drone shot spiraling up above, going around in Venice, I was fascinated by that. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Me too.
It was so scenic and so revealing of the area. So yeah, I kind of wish I'd have seen it in the theater too because of the visuals. And it was a good story. Had me guessing
Had you guessing? Well, that's what a good murder mystery should do, right?
But the clues were there, I think.
Well,
I don't know.
If you knew,
if you have if you've passed the Mensa test,
I guess so.
flying colors.
Well, there was some Chekhov's things in there.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
anyway,
Very good. It was ironic because the one thing I said after I watched this is I'm glad I watched it on streaming instead of went to the theater. So I'm like the opposite of you guys. Although I do agree that the cinematography was nice, but I just thought it made for a really great streaming at home movie. I enjoyed the other two Poirot films that Merlin Eric's Prince, Death on the Nile that Branagh did, and I like his take on the character with the double mustache craziness going on, and his although give me Benoit Blanc anytime. I'm ready for more of that. I really enjoyed the creepy aspect of it, even though it's kind of obvious where it's going to go as far as what his take on that will be. At the same time, they didn't really discourage it either. So the fact that they really leaned into the creepiness of it, the seance, and the potential ghost story of it, really made this an exciting piece of work, along with the cinematography, like you said. The scenery, the location itself is this dilapidated house that is in disrepair, and right on the canals, just like all of Venice, but and in the middle of a storm. So there's this there's an isolation feel to it. They're trapped in, not only trapped in one way, but they if they wanted to leave, I don't know if they could anyway. It was really interesting. I think the one thing I agree with you guys with as far as a negative is Tina Fey. Now, not that she did a bad job. I mean, she's perfectly fine in this role, but she feels a little bit miscast. The only thing that made it acceptable is that she is supposed to be playing an American character, and when everybody else is decidedly not American, I guess it feels like, well, that's how it should be anyway. But I kind of wish there, I think there could have been a different person cast. I hate saying that because I like Tina Fey, but I don't know if this is her role. But everybody else is fantastic, especially the little kid. There's a little kid that is in this that plays the son of the doctor, the family doctor, and he is. He's an interesting little card in this film. He's all dressed up in a three-piecer and very past his age or mature for his age or whatever. However you want to phrase that, it's really interesting, and I like how the Poirot character interacts and addresses him. So the murder mystery is like, okay, yeah, just tell me who did it. I got no idea. I got no idea. I don't even know if it was like I totally had no clue who did it. But
it's well, I think we've gotten to the point where mysteries aren't as cut and dry anymore. I mean, we have things like Knives Out and stuff, and there's always layers to everything. So it's not just like this one person did it. It's more like this happened because this happened, and this person did this and this, and you keep, But I think this is one of those films where you have a lot of different people that could have done it. So it's not really obvious who
really did it,
who the main person was, because I think that's the problem sometimes with some of your scale back mysteries. But yeah, I think it is one of those things where I'm like, I don't think any normal person would know all the different things that happened. You know what I mean?
I know
even when you explain it.
Yeah. When they start revealing what the deal is with the hallucinations, it was like, okay, because I remember like the cover's a bear, but they have a thing of honey. That's weird. Then there's the whole thing like this doesn't taste like wildflowers. There's a lot of clues there.
Yeah.
but I was like,
you'd have to be an expert in honey.
I know, and I had no clue. I was like,
Well, yeah.
like, what are they
Again,
trying
you
to
have to be,
Oops,
you
I
know,
gave that
highly
I
I
guess
critical and
I-
intelligent, and looking
so-
everything up on the internet to figure it out.
So it was yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, like you said. There's so much to kind of talk about and reveal.
Well,
that
I love Kenneth Branagh's French accent. I don't know how realistic it is. I just enjoy listening to it.
It's a unique Poirot.
Yeah, he's maintained it
accent.
through all the films he's played
Yeah,
Poirot. I mean,
Yeah.
he's maintained it the whole time. It's not like he even changes it up one bit.
Well, I think that's basically the point with any of these detectives, and even Benoit Blanc has got this like heavy Southern accent. It doesn't feel like a real
He's like Foghorn
accent,
Leghorn.
you know.
Right?
It's almost,
I'll say.
well, it's like the Inspector Clouseau. You know, it's I think you have to have that kind of standout thing to where you're just not some normal French person. You're Poirot, you know. So I think it doesn't really bother me. It makes him stand out. It's just who he is. It's part of his accent is more of his personality more than anything else. But yeah, I don't know. I really, there was times where I rewinded to look at shots.
Oh yeah,
That just shows you how
Yeah,
impressed.
definitely.
I mean, the use of shadows. There's a death that happens within a shadow that's really amazing and gorgeous. That whole thing about where they're telling the story and they're using little shadow puppets was
Yes.
really cool.
We've seen that in other films, but yeah, it worked
Yeah,
really
and just
well here.
there's a cool thing where there's like this middle part of around where the house, and it's almost like a middle part where people may gather or whatever, and the camera's rotating around it, and then it transitions into the dining table. I mean, there's some really there's like a scene where they have the body in almost like a morgue area, and it's framed within the parts of the house and stuff. It's just the attention to detail. And I was trying to figure out, like, I want to find out what lens they uses, because there's this almost like a wide angle, like a huge wide angle lens they used in certain rooms that just made the room like bigger. It almost like scenes from Citizen Kane level, you know, to where it's like, and maybe the camera might move a little bit, but I was like, what lens are they using? Because it made everybody in within that frame so small, but almost like pieces in a game, you know.
Mhm.
And I think there's just parts that I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. How he's telling this story using all these different filmmaking techniques, you know, because he's also got you got the normal cheesy flashbacks done in a different, you know, almost like a black and white style, you know. So
A couple
you
times,
have
yeah.
that, which is traditional in most of these things, but I just love the framing, because normally when you're shooting inside of a house, you're kind of relegated to certain types of shots, and here he would have these wide shot in the corner of the room that just made it like almost like a maze or something. It's just really gorgeous to look at.
There was a couple of cool shots where they did a 360. One of them was they couldn't figure out how something happened, so the camera goes all the way around in a circle, just like Poirot or whoever is looking to look at stuff all the way around. Then there was the other one where they're checking everybody's reaction, and so you're going around in a circle looking at everybody's face as they go around.
Well,
which is what you want to see in the mystery, right?
Well, and I think he was really playing with all the tools in the toolbox. I mean, there's a part where the camera's attached to him when he's looking around.
Yeah,
there's another that's from his point of view where he's going down like
when he's running down the stairs. It's
almost like a first person shooter video game or like Blair Witch or something.
It reminded me of like the Ghost Hunter people, how they wear those.
Yeah.
You see them moving, but everything else is stationary.
Yeah. He certainly took a number of liberties with his usual structure of storytelling, but especially based on Murder at the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. I mean, those are much more traditional, and this story lent itself for him to kind of stretch in that way, and it really worked. It really helped.
Well, that's the same cinematographer used in Belfast as well.
Yeah. Well, and you know, but then at the same time, I was like, this is also a period piece. So I think anytime you see those wide shots, I'm kind of wondering how much CGI, because you talked about Jeff. I love that last scene. I was like, wow, this
How
is
many cars
beautiful.
did they have to take out?
Yeah, but I was like, oh my God, how much CGI do you have to do to CGI stuff? I mean, I guess if you're looking at roofs, you could hide that a little bit, but there's parts where they're going down the Venice Canal and you see the houses and stuff. I'm wondering, like, could they find certain locations that hadn't really aged a lot from that time period?
What's that period piece film that in the background you can see a plane flying by? Is it? I think it's one of those.
I remember what you're talking about, but I can't remember which one it is. Yeah.
Well, you're always going to find some of that stuff. I mean, like Lord of the Rings. I think there was a car driving in the background there.
Or palm trees were in New England.
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
Mountains in the south of Florida. Now, okay, so Kenneth Branagh has made Dead Again is kind of closer to this than Frankenstein that he did. But Dave, Frankenstein is straight up horror. How do you compare his take on this Haunting in Venice and the horror angle with like what he did in Frankenstein in '94?
Well, I mean, it's it's kind of two totally different things. I mean, the book. I don't know if any of you read the story, the Halloween Party story, the Agatha Christie story in itself. But I mean, it was definitely her attempt at doing something spooky, And I mean, I think it comes off fairly well here. What I really enjoyed was more the reasonable, rational man trying to deal with seeing things that he can't explain, and knowing that they can't possibly be happening, but he can't argue with what his eyes are showing him. And they play that off very, very well. Even at the end of the movie when Tina Fey, she's like, "You seen something, didn't you?" And he's like, he ain't gonna admit to nothing.
He's gonna admit it. I really like that.
He ain't gonna admit it.
Yeah, because he totally explained why he saw everything, but yet he didn't want to give it all away, did he?
Right, exactly. And I kind of enjoyed that, but I mean, this just goes to show you that all horror doesn't have to be completely grotesque and horrific. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Terrifier 2. It can just be a good spooky story in a spooky location.
Well, this felt very, very gothic horror. Not like straight horror, but there's like a gothic horror. I mean, from ghosts and stuff to, I mean, the final sort of ghost attack, I'll say.
But even the scene when they go down into the basement, when they they're like, they hear those noises, those crashing noises, and they're like, it's coming from the basement. The lady says there is no basement. And then, of course, Poirot, finds the secret entrance to the basement, and it turns out that it's nothing. But there for a little bit, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But I was thinking the same thing, though. When they're talking about a basement, I'm thining, boy, no,
they'll
have a water.
How do you have a basement?
I was going to say, how do you have a basement?
Because there was a body down there too.
Well, yeah, they suggested.
Oh, no, where they kept the kids locked up, all the kid toys.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, man, there were so many reveals. Like every character had some kind of secret that they were revealing. From hiding in the.
Yeah, that's typical Agatha Christie, though. I mean, like 10 Little Indians, and I mean, that was her go-to move. Was these hidden.
Well, I think it's kind of, and I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just observational, but my wife and I watch a fair amount of British mystery series, and they're always very complicated and layered. And there's, you start off looking for the murder of something, and you end up finding out about, some convent where they, did dastardly things to the girls, and 5 people are keeping secret for different reasons and stuff like that.
There's all these red herrings.
Yeah. So they're real herrings. They're just to
the main mystery, they're red herrings.
Right. It leads you to the solution, but there's other crimes that end up falling in there. So same thing here.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, let's.
You brought up 10 Little Indians, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's like the only one when I was in like junior high or grade school. That was the one everybody read. If you didn't read any other Agatha Christie, you read 10 Little Indians. That was pretty well known back then. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like reread them. I obviously haven't read them in a very long time, but I'm thinking they've probably held up quite well. But I'll be curious to see if that's the fact. I'll have to reread them.
A lot of Ellery Queen and Hardy Boys for me.
I loved Ellery Queen.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
The three detectives for me growing up. If you ever read that, Alfred Hitchcock presents the Three Detectives.
Yeah. Or the Three Amigos, but that's a different story. All right, let's go ahead and give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Dave, you're up first.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I enjoyed it for the fun wordplay that was going on. I think it was really well written. Again, I'm not into the technical film end as much as Christopher and the rest of you, but there's no denying the beauty of this. Even me in my layman's terms, I mentioned to my wife, I'm like, my God, like every shot is a different shot. There's one and they're at the bottom of the steps looking up, and then they're at the top of the steps looking down, and they're at the side looking at the side of the steps. I mean, just the sets for these, the setups for these things had to just take them forever to do, but they all look amazing. So, I noticed it. I didn't. I couldn't revel in the technical wondery of it like Christopher does, but I appreciated it. It had a couple good scares. I liked it. I'm going to give it a 3.75.
Nice.
And my favorite scene, I think, is going to be Poirot when he's in the bathroom and he has his little like a supernatural experience. He's there at the sink. And then he opens the door and that little boy's out there and they have a real good one-to-one discussion. That was just a lot of fun to watch play out. I actually thought at one point that somehow the little kid was going to be the killer somehow, like he was actually like a little midget dude. because he was so he was so yeah, I mean, he was just so adult,
beyond his age, right?
And especially because he was like helping calm his dad down and stuff. Anyway, I'm like, this dude's some kind of a midget. He's got to turn out he's like some 52-year-old midget. But that whole scene with Poirot questioning his own sanity and then opening the door and having to have that witty banter one-on-one with the kid, I thought that whole scene was just really well done.
Nice. Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what is your score and favorite scene?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would say, like, I did also, like we talked about, I did enjoy the humor in it as well. There's one where Poirot says, if you wake a bear, don't cry if he tangos, and she's like, that's not a saying anywhere. That's really funny. I'm gonna give this a 4, just primarily because of the cinematography is just gorgeous to look at. I mean, you have a really beautiful landscape and scenery for where it takes place, but just the production design and everything. I mean, I don't know about you guys. When they went into that little girl's bedroom and it's got all the trees painting on the walls, it is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. And just everything and the whole house and stuff. As for favorite scene, I think I'm gonna have to go for when the one person dies on the statue, but you only see it from shadow. I think the way the camera goes pow and you see her body fall on that impaled by the statue. I was like, wow, that's just gorgeous, morbidly gorgeous and amazing. And it was just well thought out how that happened in the film. So I think this is a film I may go back, just look at scenes to see how they filmed it. And because I want to steal shots.
I was going to say, you
from this. I don't have the budget that Branagh has, but I'm definitely going to figure out how he shot certain parts of that.
Perfect. Jeff Mohr, sir, your score and favorite scene.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I think I'm a little bit like Dave, because I don't take 1 second thinking about what lens they used. Mine are more like, ooh, that's pretty. No, I love. There's something about there are certain types of visual shot constructions that appeal to me, and noticing all these different angles in this was really interesting too. So I'm going to give this a 4, and a statement, a thing that really stuck in my mind. Both the ones that Dave and Christopher picked were good ones, but I'm going to take the sort of the basement discovery.
Good job. Good job.
This storm was coming up, and there was all this banging, and they finally figure out what it is. But what they find down there was horrifying.
Yeah, the implications of it, definitely. I'm with Dave, 3.75 on this. Definitely, it's my favorite of the 3 for sure that Branagh did. My favorite scene. So much like I think it was you, Dave, that picked it. It's going to be an interaction with Poirot and the young man, the kid. But this is at the end when he leans down and talks to him, man to man, if you will, and reveals the who the actual the actual culprit was that was doing the blackmailing. I just really like that interaction, and just the way those 3 characters, because the lady was there as well, who was going to take care of the boy since his father passed away in the movie, and then the outcome of what that discussion did. I don't know. It was kind of like it's this toward the end of the movie, but it's this really this interesting kind of what comes next that we don't always get. So I really enjoyed that. Go figure.
All good choices this time.
It was a fun to watch movie.
Oh yeah. I also like the reveal of what really happened to Alicia or Alice. Was it Alice or Alicia? I can't remember. But that was the way they told that story was interesting. So, yeah, good stuff.
Kind of reminded me of Knives Out a little bit too, with the diabetes medication.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. So it was honey.
With what?
Diabetes medication, or the not whatever the medications the
reminded you of what?
Of Knives Out.
Oh, okay.
With the medication and stuff.
All right, well there you go. That's our review of A Haunting in Venice. It's streaming now on Hulu if you missed it in the theaters. So check it out. It's a fun little creepy watch, and I think you'll enjoy it. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of it. Christopher, Dave, Jeff, thank you for joining me. As always, this was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Good movie this time.
Oui. All right, with that, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.